Hi everyone, we're here on the 19th of July 2026. Just a weekly outlook for the next week. I've got four pairs that I'm currently watching: Euro USD, Euro AUD, Euro CHF, and USD CHF. So if we're having a look at Euro USD first, right, I'm not going to go into detail as to what it has been doing and all those things. I'm just going to be brief and just look at what I'm looking at, right? But with Euro USD, I just can't help it. This market looks very good. Sorry, let me just start with that. We've got a higher high over here. We've broken a high over there, higher low, lower low, and a lower high, and now a lower low. So we do see that we are in a downtrend with Euro USD. However, with Euro USD, I see these highs that we haven't taken out yet. So I can't really decide as to where we might be turning, right? Where we should be going back down again. If we are going to go back down again, continue lower. But as I said, just going to focus on what I'm seeing for the week, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so if we're looking at the daily, starting at the daily, right? I would have loved to see Euro USD take out this high first over here, right? It wasn't a clean high break, a breakout, or anything to take it out the high, right? It was just a wick. So the reason why I do want to buy is that we might be heading back up to take out the high clearly, right? A proper push up. Then we can have a continuation towards the downside, right? But we'll see. So this is what I'm looking at. We've got a high over here, right? Sorry, and we've got a high over there, right? Created last week. Okay, now that obviously makes this the higher low that we have. Right, if we jump down to the 4-hour time frame, what do we see? We see that the break of structure was over here. This was the last lower high, sorry, before the breakout. Right, then we've got the area where it all started over here. Right, not even a proper, there's not even an order block, right? But we've got that over there, and we've got this high low as a point of liquidity. That reference is a point of liquidity. So what am I looking for now? I'm going to go down to the lower time frames to look for demand areas, right? If I'm looking for demand areas, let me just first drop down to the 3-hour. There's nothing. The 2-hour time frame, you see that there's a nice demand area over there, right, that we can mark out. Right, remove that. Okay, got that point of liquidity over there. And then if we're looking at it on the 45-minute time frame, yes, these points do look like points of liquidity, right? These areas of liquidity, like high lows that we can sweep going down. However, I'm also a bit confident in this one because we do have a bit of imbalance over there, right? And this is a proper demand area, so I do see Euro USD coming down to this level. Hopefully it'll do something like that, right? We can wait for confirmation. I'm going to wait for confirmation before I actually enter the trade, right? But this is what I see on Euro USD for this week. Okay, from the 1-hour time frame, it still looks good. And I said I was looking at Euro AUD. Euro AUD. Sorry, let me just remove all of these. Euro AUD looked very interesting since last week. I was eyeing this pair. However, this pair is giving me a bit of mixed signals, right? Well, not mixed signals, but I'm not really quite sure about it, because if we start over here, we've got a lower high over there, lower low, and a lower low over there, right? Now we've pulled back into this supply area over here that we've tapped into. We haven't broken structure to continue towards the downside, so it's only fair for me to actually continue towards the downside. Alright, so if I'm following that, we have a high over here, and a higher high, and a higher low. So this is where it all started. We have this area over here. Order block pushes price up, breaks over this high, through the high. And now what are we sitting with? A nice demand area over here. In this demand area we had an imbalance that we tapped into on Thursday. We tapped into that area, right? A nice rejection. Now we're seeing price breaking through this lower high. Hopefully we'll see some upside movement this coming week. So if I'm trying to capitalize on this market, we mark off this lower high over here, right? Lower low and a high over there. And then this is where it all started, right? Drop down to the 1 hour time frame, and we find that we are sitting right on a demand area, right? However, with this area, I'm just a bit wary of this area because of this price action over here. It's not decisive, right? This seems like liquidity on its own, so we might find that price might sweep that and then continue up, but we shall see. What I'm waiting for this coming weeks, I'm waiting for price to just tap into this area. If we get some rejection, then obviously I'm taking this price up until here towards the highs. So it's one of the pairs I'm looking at for this week. Price coming into this area over here, this demand area, and then bouncing off back to the highs. Another pair is the EURCHF, Swiss franc, right? Swiss franc, we are starting it from scratch again. We are currently situated in a downtrend, as you can see. Moving down, we've got an area of consolidation on the daily. But now, if you're focusing on what's happening right now, we've taken this high, right? We took it on Monday, last week Monday. We took the high, retraced back, right? And I would be targeting this high over here, provided everything works out. But this week, we see this high over here. It's a higher high there and a higher low, and this is where the movement started, right? The bullish movement started over there, and we dropped down to the 4 hour time frame. We see that there's a nice area of liquidity right over here. There's high low, this internal range over there, right? I see that below this area of interest, there's a nice demand area over here as well, right? You can either take this area, or we can take this one, right? But I'll rest on this one. Nice demand area. Hopefully price will come down, sweep this, and then give us a continuation towards the upside again, right? So that is EURCHF that I'm eyeing for this week. Yeah. And the last one is USDCHF, Swiss franc. This move might have played out already, right? Might have played out. I missed it last week, but hopefully this week, if it gives us another chance, then I'm definitely taking it. I would have loved to be in this trade coming from here, taking these highs, right? Sorry, these highs, right? Only thing that makes me skeptical is that yes, we've taken these highs, so maybe we might get a bit of a retracement back, and then we can take out the rest of the highs. But since we are here, I don't see why we can't just continue towards the upside, right? So we do see a clear break towards the upside. See price immediately come back into this range. We've got a high low over here, right? Bit of imbalance here, so maybe we might see price tumbling down to this area, then continuing towards the upside, treating this high low as liquidity, but that doesn't matter right now. This is where it all started, right? Our point, our last candle, market structure shifted, dropped down to the 4 hour time frame. We see that, okay, yes, we do have a nice demand area over there, right? Demand area over there. What I would have loved to see in this pair is liquidity sweep over there, right? Maybe tap into this area over here, then maybe see the move towards the upside, because right now the only liquidity is this liquidity, but I treat that as liquidity for this range, right? From there, sweep, not as the entire range. So for this entire range, I would have loved to see this sweep, right? So maybe this week, if you can get something like that, push towards the downside, a tap in, a shift, right, and then we continue this direction towards the upside. Then I'll be committed to this, but right now it's still a bit too soon to tell, right? It's not giving anything concrete because, like I said, I would have loved to see this price swept as liquidity, and then the market continue towards the upside again. But yeah, I'll check it again on Tuesday most of the time, or Monday evening, or Tuesday morning, just to see how things have played out. But yeah, thank you for your time, guys.